So, hi everyone, I am Frédéric, Android developer at MWM for 7 years, where I had the chance to be involved in the development of more than 20 applications in various fields, a lot in the music area, our main activity, but also on some relaxation app and wallpaper app.
Hi everyone, I'm Pierre, Android developer at MWM for 3 years now. So today we're going to see why and how you can adapt your Android app for Chrome OS devices. In fact, at WM we already did the work for one of our apps, as you can see here. So we're going to talk about it during this presentation. A non-optimized app could lead to a bad user experience. So if you want to win the heart of Chrome OS users, you need to adapt your app. So now I will try to convince you to adapt your Android app for the Chrome OS devices. But first, what is Chrome OS? Chrome OS is an operating system which is based on a Linux kernel. It is owned by Google, but a part of the code is open source and available on the Chrome project. For the story of the Chrome OS, the project begins in 2009 with the announce of the project, and the first Chromebook released was in 2011. But at this moment, there weren't any Android app. They arrived only in 2014. And since 2016, the Google Play Store is available. That is to say that if you have an Android app on the Play Store or Google Play Store, all the Chrome OS users will be able to download your app and try it. Some key numbers. In 2020, the amount of Chromebooks sold was about 30 million, and in 2021, it was about 40 million. And in fact, in 2020, the amount of Chrome OS sold was higher than macOS. So it can be surprising, but in fact, more and more students are using Chromebooks because it is convenient for taking notes and it's cheaper than MacBook, of course. Another reason that you should consider this adaptation is that now there is a new rating policy on the Google Play Store. Starting from now, users can see a rating depending on the device they are using. So there is a rating for smartphones, but again for tablets, and of course for a specific rating for the Chromebooks devices. So if users get your app from the store on the Chromebooks, if they have a bad user experience, they will give you a bad rating, and this rating you couldn't compensate it with the other devices' ratings. So now you want to adapt it. How you can adapt it? As I said, at WM we already did the work for our app eDJing, which is a DJ app for remixing tracks in your smartphone. So we'll see what we achieve with that. The main difference between smartphones and Chromebooks is the built-in keyboard. In fact, users may want to use it in order to interact with your app. So a good practice is to use keyboard shortcuts. In fact, you have a lot of shortcuts in laptop software. And you can do that very simply by using onKeyUp, by overriding the onKeyUp method on views, fragments, or activities. With that, you can get the key code of the current key And for example, in editing, you can start the left disk with the W key and start the right disk with the O key. Again, on laptop softwares, for example, in an editor, you can undo a thing by using Control and Z key. So you have to think about the key combinations. For example, if you want to make a Control S key combination, you can use the unkey up method. And when you have the S key code, you can check if the Control key, for example, is pressed. And you can do the same thing with the Alt key, for example. A bad user experience using edit text is when you are typing something, and when you tap the Enter key, you have a new line, for example, if you take the native behavior. If you want to avoid this and make the user experience better, you can use shortcuts and you can override the Enter key behavior. Directly on the edit text, you can set on key listener. And in fact, you can get the key code like before. So for example, in editing, you just have to tap the name of the track, and on the Enter key, you start the research. Another thing, using the keyboard on a laptop, you may want to navigate through your app by using the navigation key. In fact, the Android operating system already handles this natively by using the order in your layout. But maybe you want to optimize it to make the experience better. So you can do this directly on the XML code by using the next focus, right, down, left, or up attributes. You can do the same thing with the tab key. And again, it is natively handled by Android, but you can override it and make the appearance better. You just have to use the next focus forward attribute directly in the XML code, like we did in editing.
Now we speak about the built-in touchpad and the pointer. To explain the modification we apply to editing, we'll follow the flow of a user who wants to mix some tracks. First, we want to display the track library screen, and to do that, we will interact with the view inside the red square. This view is a custom button, but it behaves like a normal button. So a single click on it will display the track library screen. In order to give more context to the action to do on it, we change the arrow icon into a hand icon. On normal button, I mean android.widget.button, there is nothing to do because it's a normal behavior. You only have to change the pointer icon for custom views. So how to do that? You can change the pointer icon in a layout file by using the attribute pointer icon. And here we pass the hand value. But it exists a dozen of other icons provided by the system. Another way is programmatically by calling the setPointerIcon method on your custom view. And to get one of the icon provided by the system, you call pointerIcon.getSystemIcon. You pass a context, and you pass the icon, the type of icon you want to get and to set. It's also possible to use any drawable to create your own custom pointer. You have to keep in mind that all views are rectangles. In our example, our custom view has a round shape, but the pointer is changed when it's in the corner of the view, so it doesn't look very nice. In order to improve that, we can be notified of pointer movement above our view by listening to onOverListener. And with coordinates inside the motion event pass in the callback, we can check if the pointer is inside the circle, and at this moment, change the pointer icon. So, before to display the track library screen, I want to prepare the platen and reduce the volume of the left disk. The custom view you see is responsible of managing the volume. So we select the cursor and we move it vertically. With this custom view, the pointer icon has several states. So you can't only use an XML attribute because you have to change it programmatically. So there is a state when the icon is, the pointer is over the custom view, and another view when we select the cursor and we move it. So how to do that? First, we set the pointer icon to type grab. It's the open hand icon. Our custom view overrides untouched event method to be notified of click and movement of the pointer. And when we receive a motion event action with action down, we can change the pointer by setting the type grabbing icon, the closed hand icon. And finally, when we receive motion event action down, action up, or action cancel, we restore the previous state, the icon with the type grab. So in some scenario, there are not just a single line of XML to add, but you have to code to add a little more line of code. So now I can display the track library screen. In this screen, I want to display a menu on one of the list items. And after that, I will select an item, select a track to load it on the platen and come back on this screen. Now we focused on only two items. It's on the top item that I want to display a menu to access new other features. On smartphone, we are used to click on an overflow button or long press a list item to display a menu. On a computer, we generally right-click on a list item to display a menu, and it's displayed at the position of the right-click. So keeping the smartphone behavior on a Chromebook will be quite frustrating because you have to move your pointer, select the overflow button. No, you want to have the computer behavior on a Chromebook, which is a computer. So to do that, you have to set an on-contact click listener on your list items to be notified of right-click. And when there is a right-click, you can call your method responsible of displaying a context menu. Here, I speak about context menu and not pop-up menu. In editing on smartphone, we use pop-up menu to display a menu next to the overflow button. But on Chromebook, we want to display a menu at the position of the right-click, which is not possible with a pop-up menu because a pop-up menu takes an anchor view to be displayed next to it and context and coordinates, but a context menu can. So I click on an item, I load a track, and I came back on the platen with a new track. Now I want to do a smooth transition between the right disk and the left disk. So I will interact with the view inside the red rectangle. It's called a crossfader. Its role is to manage if it's the right disk or the left disk we can hear, or a mix of both if the cursor is at the middle. But as a user, as a DJ, I don't want to move my pointer to select the cursor and make the action. I want to do the transition right now. In order to do that, I can capture the pointer. Whenever the pointer is on the screen, a view can capture it in order to receive all motion events. We can trigger this mode with a keyboard shortcut, the control button, like Pierre explained just before. In this mode, the pointer is not displayed anymore. It's hidden from the screen. In this mode, the pointer can't be stuck on the side of a screen if it goes too far in one direction. It's generally used for video games with first-person camera. When we end this mode, the pointer is displayed again at the position it was before the capture. So to start this mode, the custom view has to call request pointer capture, and to release it, release pointer capture. The custom view must also override onCapture pointer event. And we have to be careful, because here, the motion event, its coordinates are not coordinate of the pointer of the screen. Of course, pointer is not displayed anymore, so it's not that. The values inside the motion event are relative movement since the last event. So with this delta value, we can change the crossfader and adapt the music produced by the app. As a conclusion, we can say that it's quick and easy to implement. There are not so many things to do to adapt your app and have a really nice behavior on a Chromebook. Of course, it improves the user experience. We get better user ratings due to better user experience. And finally, it increases app usage and the number of downloads of your app. One last argument to motivate you to adapt your app for Chromebook, for desktop, is a new release of Windows 11, which can now run Android app through the Amazon store. So now we have several billions of desktop and laptops which can run Android apps, and we should consider this user to increase our user base. Here are some of the sources we used to do this presentation. I would like to thank Emily Roberts, a developer advocate for Chrome OS, who created a lot of very nice content to explain the modification to do. And thank you for listening for this talk. If you have any questions, it's the moment. Yes?
How do you do to be able to handle both mobile phone and Chrome OS without too much cluttering of the code? Like, for example, you will have in a screen you will have both handling context click and touch click. Do you have a strategy, or do you just put everything in your use?
Yeah, you can totally have the two behavior. On Chromebook, you can keep the click on overflow button to have a pop-up menu displayed next to the button, but you also have the right-click behavior for desktop and Chromebook. It's totally possible, yes.
Okay, but in more in the architecture point of view, like if I have fragments and I need to handle both Chrome OS and mobile phones, what do you just put everything on the same on this fragment, or do you like split and have something a new class that will manage Chrome OS and a new class would manage mobile?
Okay, it really depends what you want to do. Generally, it's better. Here we have a large screen, so it's better to have a different layout to adapt to this large screen. And of course, smartphones are smaller. It really depends on your strategy. In editing, we use the same views, the same fragment and activities. It depends on if you want to display several things at the same time or not.
Just a follow-up question. How many users do you have that is using Chrome OS? You can track this?
Yeah, it's possible, in fact, to track it. There are not so many users in our case. Like Pierre explained before, the application Evernote is very used by students to take notes. So some applications are, for now, because the market of Chromebook is not very wide, maybe only some application really attract people. But really it takes maybe 1-2 hours to adapt our app. So even for a few people, it's a good thing to adapt it. good.
We're on time. Maybe one more question?